Hello again from the West Lincoln Public Library. I'm Sarah, bringing you another young adult book talk. Happy holidays, happy new year. I hope everyone is doing well. It is officially 2021, so I thought for my new young adult book review for this month, I was going to do something to start off the year, taking a look back on 2020. I'm a big fan of Goodreads. I use it to sort and keep track of everything that I read online. So I checked what book won the Young Adult Book Award for 2020, and Elizabeth Acevedo's Clap When You Land absolutely deserves it and more. Gotta say, I went in totally blind, didn't even recognize the title when I heard about it, so I was looking forward to whatever surprises it might hold, and blew me away. It is a gorgeous novel about the exploration of one's identity, about discovery, about family, about grief. It was so unlike anything I've ever read before and probably will ever read again. Another surprise was it's written in a beautiful style of verse. I'm not too familiar with poetry. I've always wanted to get better at familiarizing myself and enjoying it. So this was a really nice change up style-wise for me. It's not written like rhyming couplets or anything. It's written in this sense that the actual pages and the stories themselves are spread out so beautifully, and they're all different. I was worried maybe when I was reading that it was going to be distracting for me, but no, I found it was actually a really great way for me to get involved and absorbed in the storyline, which, without further ado, I will introduce. So, Clap When You Land is a story of two sisters, Camino Rios and Yahiro Rios, and they are both in their late teens. One girl, Camino, lives in the Dominican Republic, and every year she waits for the summers when her father will come visit her. He stays for only about the summers, so about a quarter of the year he spends with her. Well, the rest of the time she lives with her aunt, who is a spiritual healist that lives and works in the Dominican Republic. Camino is deeply inspired by her tia, and she would really, more than anything, want to go to Columbia University when she graduates school in the Dominican and learn to become a doctor. It's her greatest ambition. And her father is the light of her life, so every year she looks forward to his visits, until when she arrives at the airport, when his flight leaves from JFK to welcome him, she learns that his flight actually crashed into the ocean and there were no survivors. In the blink of an eye, she's lost the center of her whole world, and it's staggering. She has no idea how to handle it at first. Then also comes the bitter realization that her father was the main breadwinner for their family. She worries how they will survive without his income. She worries how she'll continue on without him. She has no idea what she's going to do. And then, halfway around the world in New York City, another girl, Yahiro Rios, is in school and gets pulled out of class and is notified by her mother and her principal that her father's plane, which had taken off for work in the Dominican Republic, crashed, and there were no survivors, and he is presumed to have died. It is slowly revealed that this man, their father, had two families. He married one woman in New York City and had Yahida, and he shortly thereafter married another woman in the Dominican Republic and had Camino. These two girls have no idea the other exists. They have no idea they ever had more family. They have to somehow come together through their grief to meet and know each other for the first time. And the two girls, though they act very different in the books, one of my favorite things about how the book is written style-wise is that their language and their metaphors and their phrases, they mimic each other. especially when talking about their father, things they loved about him, his passion for cigars, and how proud he was whenever they would do something or excel in school, his pride in them. It was one of their absolute favorite things to remember about him, his gold rings, his laugh, his smile, his energy, and you can definitely see how familiar the two of them are when they talk like that. But they're still very different passions and interests, the two girls. Yahida is a chess prodigy who is dating a girl named Dre. Camino is interested in studying medicine, and after her father passes away, now must dodge El Cerro, who is a local runner for the sex trade industry. And that's another interesting, this thing Clap When You Land talks about is sex tourism in the Dominican Republic. It is an unbelievably deeply complex book in regards to character development. These, I don't even want to call them characters. They feel like people. Kamina and Yahida feel so alive. And I will admit, I do love me a fantasy book, so I always take character development with a little grain of salt, but it took almost no time for me to feel so attached to these sisters and to their father, who is, again, a very complex individual, because throughout the pages you can see how deeply ingrained he was in both of the girls' lives and still managed to hide this secret for 18 years. And it's very hard to wrap your head around, because I've never been in a position being able to understand something, obviously, in those regards. So just watching the girls try to come to grips with the realization of their father's lies, his passing, and the sudden appearance of a sibling that they never knew they had is a lot. And Acevedo does it beautifully. I felt their grief. I felt their restraint and their apprehension when they learn that they are not alone in this world. This book covers a lot of topics. For one, it's LGBTQ. Yahira's girlfriend, Dre, is from, her mother's actually a therapist, and they go over mental health together, which is very important. It goes over, as I said before, the issues of sex tourism that go on in Latin America and Southern Europe. It's definitely a coming together novel that I read in the span of 2.5 hours. That's why I'm rereading it again. I don't think I went through it. I was so absorbed in it, I didn't really realize how fast I was going through it, which is always a good sign. I cannot recommend this book enough. It is such a showing of togetherness and family, and a showing of bonds that cross an entire ocean. It is beautifully well done. I have not covered half the stuff in this book. There is so much more. I'm already going over time, but if you want a story that feels human and has such a depth of life to it that you will believe you are reading a documentary, Clap When You Land will give it to you. It is poetic and touching and deeply deserving of the title of Young Adult Book of 2020. It was the story of the actual plane crash itself, Flight 1112, is loosely based on the tragedy of the American Airlines Flight 587, which was also headed to Santo Domingo, which crashed in Queens, resulting in 50 deaths. The author handles it very gracefully, even dedicates the books to those lives lost. It's a very sweet gesture and very emotionally impactful. I will be enjoying reading the second time around, and I will be recommending it to as many people as I possibly can in the new year. So yes, I highly recommend. We have plenty of copies here at the library, so please come take a look for it. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone, and I'm hoping I will see you soon. Bye now.